Hi, my name is Cindy Lopez Ordonez. I am a member of the Talon, and today I'm going to share my story for the Yo Soy project. The Yo Soy project was mainly intended for sharing Latinx students' experiences in higher education in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Um, so I identify as Guatemalan-American. I used to identify as just Guatemalan. However, this changed when I visited Guatemala and just realized that I have American values and ideas and perspective. Um, as for my intended major, I am interested in microbiology and I want to pursue a minor in global health or global studies. As towards graduation, I graduated in 2019. However, I've been finishing prerequisites for my major, since it's such a STEM major. But luckily, I'm going to be finished this year, so I'm applying to transfer for fall 2021, which is exciting. Um, and so far, I've applied to UCLA, UC Berkeley, UCR, and UC Santa Cruz. And last minute, I decided to apply to Cal State, so I applied to San Bernardino, East Bay, Humboldt, and San Francisco State. In addition to public schools, I'm also applying to privates. Recently, I submitted my application to USC. I'm also going to apply to Stanford, Cornell, Columbia, and Boston University. Um, so as to the first question, what does Hispanic mean to me? I think, it's an immense source of pride. It's an immense source of pride for me. I'm very orgullosa of, the roots that I come from. I'm proud to be Central American, proud to be Guatemalan. I'm just proud to come from people who are hardworking, who are just so focused on, community, and I'm proud of the richness and depth that Hispanic culture has. That is, um, food, music, dance, films, etc. It's just an immense source of pride to be part of a community like that. As to the second question, in which asks, has as a Hispanic have I benefited from programs? Um, or no, I should say that uh, being Hispanic, have I has it brought me benefits throughout my educational goals? I think yes, but I think mostly I want to look at it more about why. I think it mostly comes from the fact that there is so little representation um, in what I ultimately want to do in my life. So for that, I'll share. I want to become a doctor, and the hard part about it is that there are not a lot of people who look like me in the field, and as well, which is a sad thing because the population in the United States is Hispanic, predominantly Hispanic. And so, coming from that background, I can able to help people because, I can speak Spanish, I can communicate with them, and just, that connection, just when you meet like another Hispanic, you just connect. That's how you just gravitate towards people who share similar backgrounds, right? And so, if I've benefited from it, it's been because there is so little diversity in the medical field. So, um, yeah. As to the next question, which is talking about, has there been um, an increase in programs that help Latinx students go into college or just pursue their dreams? I think there has. I think again, but it comes from the fact that as you go higher in the educational pipeline, you have less and less diversity, right? And so I think they, educators and administration have decided to retain these students so that they can pursue their dreams because I think it's a sad thing when they're not given the tools to know how to get there, how to make their dreams feasible and possible and turn into reality instead of a dream. Um, so I think so because one thing that I noticed was from my high school was, when I was applying for college, I didn't have like someone who was guiding me throughout. Um, there wasn't really such an initiative by my high school. It was only when I, met someone through my friend who, this person became just a mentor and, someone who I deeply admire and respect, who taught me, how to apply to financial aid, how to apply to schools, how to write personal statements, you know, how to even fill out an application, really. Um, that I learned how to make my dreams that I had since, I was in sixth grade to go to college. But from when I was applying to when my brother was applying, like 3 years later, he there the high school had already implemented requirements for their students to apply for financial aid instead of when I was applying it was more like self-driven, and now there was like with my brother there was just like such a movement to help students just consider education, higher education, right? And so obviously a program that I benefited from that I had shared was this person, she worked for Talon, she still does, and which is a program that helps first generation and low income students go to college. Which without that program, I probably wouldn't have learned how to even do any of it. So yeah, I think another program that I immensely benefited was, in community college, was the Puente Program. I say this because I just believe that that program just changed how I viewed myself, how I don't want to say I was taught to view myself, but just how I was made to feel about myself. Because right after high school, I went to a university, right? I went to UCSD, I thought I was gonna love it there, it was gonna go great. It didn't turn out that well. Eventually I got dismissed from there. Um, and so when I returned, I was just really disappointed. I felt like a failure. So so I eventually decided to go to community college, and this mentor who's been in my life since junior year of high school, she told me go to the information sessions, and so I did, and I joined there, and it just revolutionized how I view myself because I started to believe in myself again. I started to regain that confidence that I can do anything I set my mind to. And I think more than anything, I think I just loved meeting other Hispanic students. Because one thing that you'll notice in university is there isn't much diversity there. So I think that was one of the issues that I found with San Diego as well. I didn't see many people who looked like me, and so that made it really hard to adjust to a new environment. Um, so yeah, I think to as I'm pursuing medical field, there has been immense benefits that I've been able to get because of my background. Because again, as I had mentioned, there isn't much doctors who are Hispanic, and that's sad because, as I had said, we need people who have that background, have that connection to help people get healthcare, right? And so for the next question, I think it's talking about wanting to ask, that there was a record high of applicants, and how does that make me feel applying for higher education? One of the things about me is, I believe in higher education. It's something I teach my younger siblings about, um, much to their detriment, But I, I'm I'm proud of the fact, that so many people were accepted or, apply had the confidence to, because I think that's one of the biggest things is just having the confidence to even apply, to believe in yourself and believe in your background and experiences that makes you a qualified student to go to that university. But at the same time, I can't help but feel like a little wary about it because, I think sometimes they just focus on getting you there and not helping you transition successfully. Um, so you can stay there to get, your education, right? Because from my experience, that's not what I had. I wasn't able to connect to that environment. I got accepted, yes, which was an accomplishment of itself, but I, you know, I just got lost. I felt like a number, just another number on their um, student. And so, I hope that besides just seeing this high acceptance, I hope that they implement programs to help students stay there because a lot of people are going to experience culture shock. It's going to be realization that they're, mm, you know, if they came from background similar to mine, it was mostly, Hispanic, and then to go into a school that has little to none, you know, it's very shocking. So, that's the only thing that's downside that I just can't help but consider. And I think the last question is to share a story about what shaped my identity. I think for me, what shaped my identity was my family. So growing up, I just remember with fondness, my parents, my siblings, and my cousins all living in one house, just that sense of community. And then, obviously I'd watch novelas, listen to Spanish music. Still, I just adore it. I love the language because I feel like the lyrics in Spanish just are just beautiful compared to our English, but just they're way more better and more profound and more depth, and they just tug at my heartstrings at least. Um, yeah, I think that has really shaped how my identity. And this concludes my interview for the Yo Soy project.